hardware, fast, easy, and built for the pros.
What do you say, everybody? How we doing today? Good to see the bricklayers and people ready to roll. Hope everyone's doing well. Wow, we're starting.
The Brick Show, where the Raider Nation
Ready or
has
not,
come to
we're
sound
starting.
off and react for over 20 years.
It's the JT the Brick Show, broadcasting live from the Finley Cadillac Performance Studio, your silver and black home to sound off for over 25 years. And now, here's JT the Brick.
Out of the gate, JT, as we are here today on another day on the flagship of the Silver and Black, Raider Nation Radio, and streaming live on YouTube. A lot of people in there, Twitter and YouTube. I found a way to click both buttons. So we're live on Twitter and live on YouTube. Everything we can do to get the show out there and get more people engaged, more people involved, and get everybody rolling. So I hope everyone's having a great day today as we are cruising through the summer. I'm heading over to the Raiders headquarters after the show today. Got a meeting over there. We're going to plan the schedule out, a couple other things we're working on. Tomorrow we'll debut our summertime radio project. It's like homework, and it will be the greatest Raider draft picks of all time. And we're working hard on that. So we'll have that tomorrow. We'll do a little bit here and there and then take a little break over the 4th of July as I head back east. I don't know if it's smart to head back east with the heat wave, but we'll see. Maybe it'll cool off. The weather's been great here. I don't do much weather, but man, has it been nice here when it's not 90 or 100. And it cools off at night, man. The last couple of nights, backyard brick in the back has been unbelievable. So I'm ready to roll. I'm in a great mood today. I want to hear from Raider Nation, and I got a topic for you to talk about. Kevin Bollinger will join us, the sports director at Fox 5 at the bottom of the hour. He'll jump in on the topic I'm talking about. And the NBA draft, I'm going to do a lot of that today. It might have been one of the worst broadcasts in the history of sports television. How's that for a tease? And I'd like to get a call or two on that if you watched it. If you didn't watch the NBA draft, then just go along with what we're telling you. But if you had a chance to watch the NBA draft last night, it was so bad that it felt like, how do I describe this? And I apologize for saying like. I'm not a Kardashian. I never do. I just caught myself. It felt, when I watched it, that I was watching tryouts for a college cable show with people who have never been on TV. And that's big because I'm on TV a lot, but not at the level of ESPN. I was on a couple of shows on Fox in the past. But when you go on TV, the first thing you have to do is be informed. Number one, you don't have to look like George Clooney. You don't have to look like Gisele Bündchen. You don't have to look like a model. You have to be informed. And then what's really important now is you have to be entertaining. And Stephen A. Smith is very entertaining, even though you might not like him. He's a friend. He has a role. It's to be energy and entertaining and to be informative. And look, he's more informative on basketball than he is on college football. He'll be the first to tell you. But last night, what I watched was so brutal. I couldn't believe it. And I'm going to talk about this. Now, there was a light mistake by Malika Andrews on a player that she mixed up with a media guy. This was live on the broadcast last night.
So the Portland Trailblazers select Colin Cowherd here. This is a young man with the ultimate bet on yourself story.
Oh, boy. Okay. Malika's very good. She's a nice host, very attractive woman, knows the NBA. No, Colin Cowherd did not get drafted by Portland. That was just a mistake. The mistakes happen. I try to limit my mistakes every day as a broadcaster, but they happen. And when they do, you got to admit it. But wow, that was a rough one last night. So after watching it, you had Kendrick Perkins, who sat on the desk and had nothing to say all night. Why was that? Because A, he's not a great broadcaster. He might be a nice guy. He's not a great broadcaster. And secondly, he knows nothing about college basketball or European basketball. And half the guys who were taken were from France. And Perk just sat there like, I don't know these guys. So you got to have some people there. I'm going to get into it more next hour. You got to have people there that know the players. Would you all agree? When we see the NFL draft, back in the day. Mike Mayock is great, not good. That's why he got the GM job for the Raiders. Very well informed, knows that niche. WNBA player on the NBA broadcast. Some proponents have been women broadcasters. From the homes I work with, other people over the years, love it. Wow. So are we going to put the men on the broadcast? Are we going to do that? I don't know. Are we going to put the men and put on the WNBA broadcast?
To my tempo, or do I take this chainsaw and saw my leg off? I couldn't figure it out. Perk, they took Colin Murray Boyles, and Perk said they have the pieces, and they're top 6 team in the East. And at that point, I started looking for a third ESPN channel, but there were only 2 covering the draft. There wasn't a third one, at least one that I couldn't find. But I didn't mind that pick. And then Malowach at 10. And then we had a trade. And then the draft started getting really weird. Cedric Coward, Memphis, moves up with Portland. Malika calls him Colin Coward, which is exciting. I thought Colin Coward got drafted for a second.
Okay, so Bill Simmons went after ESPN pretty hard. So I'm trying to get a topic out of this because you've been dead on the phones and you're quiet, and I got to do a radio show. I'm going on vacation in a week, but I got to hear from you today. Are there any broadcasts that you watch that you love? And keep ours out of it if you want to, Raider stuff. Keep that out. But is there anything you're watching on TV? I think it's a great topic for today because I watch a lot of TV. A lot. Like today I got up at 6:30 in the morning and I watched 3 episodes of Peaky Blinders. I'm in season 6. It's might be better than Sopranos or The Wire. It's that good. And I'm trying to finish it. So I got up early and I watched that. It's great. I think we're living in the golden age of television right now when it comes to streaming and the amount of choices that we have. I mean, it's remarkable how much TV we can watch. Like if you haven't seen Breaking Bad or Mobland or The Sopranos or anything, you can start now and go back. I just watched the Led Zeppelin movie, Becoming Led Zeppelin, streaming, right? Magically great. So we're living in a good era. Back when I grew up as a kid, there were only 3 channels. So you had to wait for MASH once a week. And there was no VCR when I was a kid. You had to watch it live. That's why the ratings were enormous. I would watch late night TV with my grandmother. When she let me stay up, I could watch Johnny Carson, and my grandmother would wait and laugh at Johnny Carson. Now we have politically triggered, crappy comedians hosting these shows, and all they do is talk politics. And on late night comedy shows, they interview senators and congressmen. You're like, what? What happened? Right? But when you go to streaming, it's fabulous, man. But I'm talking about sports. Because I'm really struggling because I have friends who are in sports TV. They're behind the scenes. They're guest bookers. They're producers. And it's not a jealousy thing by any means for me. You know, I'm not saying I'd like to trade with this guy or that guy. I mean, we're all on TV. I'm on YouTube right now. It's a form of streaming. And I just watched ESPN's broadcast last night, and I'm pretty tight with Stephen A. So I'm taking this out next hour. For the disclaimer, Stephen A gets brought in for a certain reason. Energy, excitement, rant and rave. But the rest of that last night was so embarrassing for the worldwide leader in sports to actually put that team of broadcasters together. You'd have to sit around and question and say, is it a budget problem? Because of Snow White was the worst movie of all time at the box office, could lose $1 billion, $1 billion in average. Is that why they're putting on people that?
Yeah.
I mean, the NBA Finals had Richard Jefferson and Doris Burke. I kind of like Doris. I'm all right with Doris. Richard Jefferson doing the NBA Finals. Didn't we grow up with Bob Costas and certain people, and they had Mark Jackson, Jeff Van Gundy, Doug Collins over the years? Remember growing up? I don't know what area you grew up in, but we had really, really good coaches, Tommy Heinsohn, broadcasters. I mean, Bobby, you grew up watching CBS, Brent Musburger on the call, and
Those are the two guys I was just about to name: Brent Musburger with Tommy Heinsohn.
Yeah, and for people
Those were fantastic.
And for people who say, get off my lawn, it's not get off my lawn. Broadcasters are supposed to be better in 2025 than 1985, but they're not. Like, no one's better than John Madden. When I went to the Hall of Excellence, I had a big exhibit on John Madden, which was really cool. And, John Madden, you look at now, and Greg Olson's good, and Tony Romo's good, and Tom Brady's good. Well, a lot of people that are good, but they're not John Madden. So does that mean broadcasting is dropping off? Yeah, you can make the debate. That Monday Night Football, when they had John Gruden, and John Gruden was in his prime on Monday Night Football, they don't have someone better now. Troy Aikman's good. Joe Buck is really good, but some people don't like Joe Buck. But I just thought last night was really weird. It was, Bill Simmons summed it up beautifully. It kind of was like ice pick, like to put all the sharp objects away. Are they really putting this on television? Jay Billis is really good. I guess what I'm asking for, last night was the type of night where we needed more information. Like, you're drafting this kid from France. Okay, they put up a video of him. All right, and they show him dunking in France.
Right.
No one knows who he is. No one. I mean, Jay Bellis had a card and told you a little bit about him. Jay knew the Duke guys, and he knew the Rutgers guys, and it was interesting. And Monica McNutt, she gets every interview. Every interview she gets. Okay. All right. I'll button my mouth up with that one. I just saw it yesterday, and I was just said to myself, what's going on? So my topic for you today, to engage you, trying to engage our audience here, so we don't become a podcast. Everyone has a podcast. I did a podcast today with Looney. It'll air tomorrow. I need to know what you're watching that's great with sports. Anything. A lot of the stuff on FS1 is really, really bad. Like, really bad. But there's some good stuff. I watch Colin in the morning for topics, and I'll look around at some of the other stuff, but a lot of it is really, really. When Shannon left Fox Sports 1, I mean, there's some bad stuff on there that's unwatchable. And my wife has a great line that all my friends say. My wife will say when I'm watching it, she'll go, "You're the only one watching this." And I go, "No, but no." She'll go, "No, you're the only one watching this." And she laughs at me as she walks by and does something in the house. I just thought the NBA on ESPN last night, or ABC, whatever it was really bad. And they got a lot of good people that work at ESPN on television and former players. And we're past the point of former players anymore. We're not even putting on former players who are great.
Yeah.
Like Kendrick Perkins and Richard Jefferson are 1 and 2. Jefferson called the finals. He's an NBA player, so he's very good, but he wasn't a Hall of Famer. And Kendrick Perkins is no Hall of Famer, let alone All-Star, and he's got the number 1 seat on the desk, sitting there on the panel. I'm like, there's no one else in the entire world. I mean, I was critical of Dwayne Wade at the Olympics. I thought he was really bad. Other people disagreed with me. But where's the next level of great broadcasters? So for you out there, if you want to get in here, and people are saying, Michael Daniels is saying ratings down because they demoralize half their audience. I won't go there. I'm not a guy who says they're demoralizing me. They're not demoralizing me. I'm just wondering where the great broadcasters are. I'll tell you a great broadcaster. I watch a lot of NASCAR and listen to stuff. I like NASCAR. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is really good, but he's quirky. He's different. It's kind of like a Southern. You got to get Dale Jr. to like him. He's really good. I believe the number 1 broadcaster in all of sports is either Charles Barkley or Brandel Chambly. Brandel Chambly does Golf Channel. He's the most incredible savant I've ever seen. Like, he can recap a major and say on the 7th hole, Well, when he was in the rough, it reminded me of Sam Snead back in 1952 on the 7th hole of Pinehurst. And you're like, how do you know that? And he's critical. He's critical. Last night, no one was really critical other than Stephen A. And Stephen A gets in there to be critical. So I wanted to throw that out here in the open. JM says we need Snoop Dogg. Well, we had a lot of Snoop Dogg at the Olympics. Snoop Dogg was on every broadcast. You know, and the play-by-play guys I want to leave out of this because most of the play-by-play guys are all great. They're like the best. To be a play-by-play voice, you got to be great. You can't fake being play-by-play. So you got Mike Tirico, and you go down with Joe Buck, and when we had Bob Costas, and just go down the list. And hockey, Mike Emmerich, when Doc Emmerich, when he was at his best. We have Gary Lawless on the show. I think he's fantastic. I spend a lot of time praising great broadcasters. But last night, someone else says Joe Rogan on the broadcast. Sure, Joe Rogan on UFC. I don't follow UFC. Al Bernstein, he listens to the show. Al Bernstein, one of my favorite broadcasters. But man, as Raider Luke says, ESPN has gone downhill. Their NBA coverage is horrendous. Let me stop. I don't think ESPN has gone downhill. I'm just cherry picking something I saw last night. I'm not saying this about ESPN and most of their broadcasts. Most of the stuff they do, I think they do well. They do really good. But last night was an absolute dumpster fire. It couldn't have been any worse. And I thought it was bad. And I'd like to get your reaction. What is the best thing you watch on sports? And I don't mean the dead zone now in June, July. All year long. What is the best thing that you watch in your rotation? It could be a talk show. It could be play-by-play. It could be a debate show. What's the one thing you watch every day that you go, these are my guys and gals. I'm going to watch it every day. I like it, and I don't have a problem with it. 702-365-9200. And that's topic development. I took a topic on how crappy the NBA was last night, and I'm trying to get everyone involved. Everyone involved. And this has nothing to do with skin color or gender. Nothing. It has to do with broadcasters who do not deserve to be on the A-list team and are cutting the line and getting these jobs because of whatever. That's what I'm saying. If you want to go between the weeds and read between the lines, I'm a guy in radio who didn't cut the line. No one had it harder than me when I started doing 8 hours a day, doing overnights. There was no cutting the line. I couldn't get a mullet and put on a costume and walk around and scream at a television camera to get my name known. I had to do deep late night radio and tried to have that going. So we'll see what's happening here. As Red Hulk says, you're having internet issues today. What do you want me to do about it? You want me to climb on the building and unplug something? I can't do that. So that's why we have the radio, we have the YouTube, we have a lot of other ways to get in here. 702-365-9200. Okay, and then the other topic that I want to get into quickly, Raider topic. I looked at the Raider defense because we got Kevin Bollinger coming up. Baltimore had the number one rushing offense and the number one defense. Baltimore's defense gave up 80 yards a game. Holy crap. The Baltimore Ravens, who we beat in Baltimore, yes or no? The greatest 12 minutes I've seen of Raider football in 2 years was the 12-minute fourth quarter in Baltimore. Unfortunately, Max got hurt in that game. The Ravens give up 80 yards a game on the ground. The next team is the Vikings at 93.4. The Raiders aren't bad last year. They gave up 116.9. Outside the top 12, but okay. The Raider defense last year gave up 216 yards in the air. Not bad. Like 15th. Not bad. Like middle of the road. And then I look at total yards per game. That's important. How many yards do you give up a game? The Eagles gave up 278. Do you know, Bobby, the only team in the NFL last year, there's 32, only one team in the entire league gave up less than 300 yards a game? The Eagles, 278. What a number. The next team was Tennessee at 311. They're the worst team in football. They had the number one draft. Raiders weren't bad. Raiders gave up 331. I'd like to see them get, to 314, 315. So the Raider topic today is a simple one. What do you want the philosophy to be of this Raider defense? Ooh, that's a good one. More blitzing? More zone? What do you want to see? You could say more violence. What do you want to see in this Raider defense that can take them from middle of the pack, okay, and take them into the top 10? Man, you got two things. I don't know every coach yet. I haven't met them. Normally I do, but I'll just give you three coaches. Pete Carroll, Patrick Graham, Rob Leonard on the defensive line. I just gave you three coaches there that can make the Raiders defense better. All right, that's the monologue brought to you by Golden Entertainment. They own the Strat. There's so much going on over there. We're recommending people stay there. Have you been checking out room rates lately? Just go online, go to whatever website you want, and check on room rates. People don't realize what the Strat did. They cleaned it all up. The rooms are new. The pool's new. The lobby, you can eat off the floors. They got a great sports book. Beautiful. So go check out room rates there and stay over at the Strat. Harrison is in Summerlin, Nevada, not too far from here. Hello, Harrison.
JT, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, thank you.
So I gotta admit, I've been following you since the late night gigs, and I'm not even a Raider fan. I listen to your show every day because you're one of the few hosts that still brings that in-your-face sports talk that we all grew up with. So I appreciate
Thank you.
And I love your show.
Appreciate that.
So one thing I'll say about these broadcasts, we're talking about, like the NBA, for instance. Shaq and Charles Barkley will sit there and openly admit they don't watch the games anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't know players. They don't know certain cities. Tune into the NHL broadcast. You have Wayne Gretzky. You have Henry Lundqvist. You have legitimate legends that are talking about the game. Nothing gets political. We don't stay outside the sport. When the Four Nations were going on, the U.S. versus Canada was monster TV.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because we kept everything on the game and the rivalry. When you turn on these broadcasts and you see that these former athletes who are getting paid multiple millions of dollars to sit there and say, I don't know where that player's from. Well, if I know where that player's from 3,000 miles away up from my couch, you certainly should. So how are you informing us on anything? But when you watch the NHL on TNT, whatever the case may be, those guys are on point. They're sharp. It's kind of like that gentleman you were just bringing up about golf. When they know their stuff, we're engaged. Mm-hmm. It's a lot like you, JT. You know your stuff. We're engaged. When we listen to a radio show, and side note, thank you so much for that Lee Hacksaw Hamilton interview. That was amazing.
Okay.
But when you know your stuff and you know your show, the crowd's going to be engaged. When we're sitting here and we're hearing Shaq go, well, I don't know. I don't care. This player's not as good. Why would we care anymore? And that's a lot of what happened on the broadcast last night. I'm a Stephen A guy. I love his energy. I understand the gimmicks. I get it. He's great. But when you've got a general manager of a dynasty and he can't get a word in edgewise, that's an issue. And I think, that's kind of what we saw last night. It's almost about who can be the loudest, not can we have an actual conversation anymore.
Excellent.
And I'll take your comments off air, but appreciate
Thank
the show,
you.
JT.
Thank you,
so
Harrison.
much.
It means a lot. Nice. I appreciate the compliment. Thank you. And a lot of it is now about the screaming and who could be the loudest and the clickbait. It's, I get confused with clickbait from time to time. I'll repost something. I'll say something a little outlandish. But, the person now on television who's seen the most are the loudest. They are. And Stephen A knows that. Now, Stephen A's branching off into politics, right? A lot of politics. Why? Because it's bringing millions of more eyeballs to him. Not thousands, millions. He's already got millions of sports followers. Well, when you're successful, you want to bring millions more. I don't with politics. But I've worked with guys who were in radio and now they're going full politics because they want to get more clickbait and make more money. But when I watch sports, I want to be informed. The play-by-play, I don't need to be entertained. But the debate shows are really important now because the debate shows are what's dominating sports. Most of them do terribly bad. There's only a few that do well, but everybody thinks, hey, man, we got to do a debate show 4 times a day in every different daytime slot because that's what people want. I don't think people want that. Mike in Vegas, you're up next. Thanks for calling in, Mike.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I agree that some of the quality of the sports commentary and debate shows have went down, and especially last night with Stephen A. and the other guy, the former GM of Golden State. It was a very stale commentary. Now, I love people like, Tom Brady and Greg Olson, but I agree as far as Shaq and Charles Barkley, that's TNT show. It's not, very good. And I think one of the problems is they should hire people like myself that have a degree in journalism. They just hire sometimes guys that are former athletes, and they aren't very good, and sometimes they don't work as hard as they should. But overall, as far as broadcast journalism, overall, there's some good people, but overall, I give it a grade of C. And in most cases, the quality of the broadcasting has went down as far as trying to relate to us as consumers.
Well, thank you, Mike. I'm going to put you on hold. We got a $50 Grimaldi's gift card for you and I should have given one to Harrison too. We will next time. But Mike in Vegas, Grimaldi's, the best pizza I've ever had. I'm going today to the Grimaldi's over on Eastern in deep Henderson today. Grimaldi's, the best pizza I've ever had. Thanks for calling in, Bobby. You'll get your information coming up here on the other side. I thought it was a good topic today because a lot of people who watch the NBA draft today on X, Twitter, are triggered about it. So I said, I got to talk about this today. And I watched it. I watched the first round yesterday, and my son was there, one of my sons, and he was looking up there. And I looked at my youngest son, and I go, who are all these guys from France? And he's like, well, this guy's good, Dad. This guy's this. And I'm like, well, you should be on TV because they're not telling me. I don't know who this guy is. Is he Luka Doncic? Is he Dirk Nowitzki? Who is he? No one knows. They're all paid to be there at the draft. They're like, yeah, he looks lanky. Wow. They're going to have to fix that one. Want to thank our great friends at Modelo. Of course, they're with us this upcoming year. Why? Because I love Modelo, and they appreciate what we do. They're the number one beer in America. They have the fighting spirit of the great Jim Plunkett, the fighting spirit of a warrior. Modelo, the number one beer in America. Kevin Bollinger from Fox 5, our buddy, the sports director, on the Raiders and how they upgrade and step up their defense.
It's the morning tailgate.
Wow, that was nice to have a little interaction and get a couple calls in here and get some people with some freaking energy. That's nice. There's big Kendrick Perkins. Ace Bailey was taken by the Jazz, which is good if you want to live in Salt Lake. I have nothing against Salt Lake. If I was an NBA player, I'd want to live in LA or Miami or New York or Brooklyn or Chicago or Dallas. So when you get selected and you're 19 years old and you get selected by Portland or Sacramento or the Jazz, these young kids, man, they don't like it. They don't want to go there, man. They don't want to go there. But the money's so big. I guess this Bailey kid didn't even participate in workouts.
I will pass this on. That's cool. I'll pass it on to the promotions guy. I'll give you a call back. We'll get you hooked up, all right? Take care. Have a good one. Raider Nation, what's your name? Going into an interview, you're going to be on hold for a few. You want to call back or? Good night.
Sixth-generation master mezcal distillers. Banana comes in a beautiful, elegant bottle. Very clean, no heavy smoke in the flavor. Makes it easy to drink neat around the rocks. Proud contributor to the Navy SEAL Foundation and to Stray Dog Charities. Banana Mezcal. That's BNAAA Mezcal. Proud partner of Raider Nation Radio.
This is Raider Nation Radio.
How's everyone doing today, man? Big D. Good job. Appreciate it. Max football camp. Hopefully I can get my girl to get a pic with him. Yeah, I would hope he would do that. Max is pretty good with that. I miss Kirk Gowdy and Joe Garagiola. Those are two great names.
This is the result of the gentrification of ESPN. They've been doing this for years. The draft is just the result of what they've been doing.
Yeah, I mean, look, if they want to have on ESPN is closer to having 3 WNBA player analysts than they are to none.
Yeah.
They're going to go with 3. And again, there's great female broadcasters, but I wonder how many of the men are going to be on the WNBA broadcast.
Let me put it to you this way, right? 20 years ago, SportsCenter was the most important thing to watch on television, right? I watch it every night. You watch it every night. You watch it anymore?
I watch SportsCenter. Yeah.
Every night?
I mean, not religiously, but I'll watch it. Yeah. I watch Pardon the Interruption religiously, PTI. That's what I watch.
Well, when it's on.
When it's on. Yeah, it's on and it's on demand. I can see it pretty easy.
I'll tell you, I get most of my sports off of YouTube now.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't go to YouTube. I go to YouTube TV, which I have, but I don't go to YouTube to watch stuff.
YouTube, I can get the MLB highlights for any game I want.
Right.
You know what I've been listening to a lot lately? Tony Maserati over on EEI.
Oh, yeah?
Talking about the Red Sox and stuff. He's actually
Cool.
pretty good.
It's a long family heritage that we proudly carry on. From our father to our family to the expert legal team at Cassavetti, we founded this firm for you. We're the Cassavetti Brothers, and we have your back. Brotherswin.com. Great cities are built on strong foundations. The skilled members of
Ooh, Justin Tucker suspended 10 games for violating the personal conduct policy.
Probably Steve has a job anymore. I thought the Ravens released him. Hey, Kevin, it's Bobby with JT. How you doing? Good, man. I'll get up with JT. Give me 1 minute. Big Al called in, by the way. He's going to call back.
What Gaming is the official and exclusive
Possible, not-
casino partner.
I think the NBA.
Pick 2025 NBA Draft. The Dallas Mavericks select Cooper Flagg from Duke University.
Yeah, that was on ESPN. The first pick was Cooper Flagg last night. Can't miss player, I believe. Kid's 18 years old, man. He graduated high school a year early and went to college as a freshman. That should have been his senior year in high school. And then he worked out here in Vegas with the Olympic team, and that's when he went on the map. Kevin Bollinger joins us, the sports director from Fox 5. We'll have him on this time before we start our coverage later on this year, later on this summer at training camp. And Kev, we spent a little time last year out in Newport Beach in that area, Costa Mesa. This year it'll be in Henderson for training camp. What do you think of that?
You know, it's gonna be interesting. John Gruden did that in Las Vegas and Henderson area, and with the early morning practices, and we'll see how the players go with it. There's not that many players left over from that time that's done it here before, so it's going to be a new experience for most of them. And you know, the facilities are so awesome out there at the Raiders facility in Henderson. Why not do it there? Get an early morning start, then they can do maybe some walkthroughs in the afternoon at the indoor facility when it's hot.
Yes, and you nailed that. And I think Pete Carroll's never done a Henderson camp, and neither has John Spytek. And no matter what they think of it, they haven't done it yet. And I think they understand that there's going to be some difficulties with the heat, and they're going to get out there early. But then to have the ability to go back and forth to the indoor, outdoor pools, the indoor training facility, the weight rooms, and all of that. I mean, you can run a good sweat and a good practice at 8:30, 9 in the morning and be off the field by 10:30 or 11 before it gets super hot. And I think that's good for training and good for players who are getting in shape.
You got it. And, you know, the one thing about going out of town, they talk about the bonding experience. You can still create bonding experiences at the facility, and then you still allow guys to be able to sleep in their own beds at night. So, you know, something tells me that Pete Carroll is going to have some side excursions going on during training camp throughout Vegas to do various things with the team. So, you know, you're going to still get the bonding, but you're still going to get all the work in, and you're going to get it done in the area that you're going to be working out all season. So there's going to be that familiarity for all these guys to kind of just hit the ground running.
Yeah, I think, Kevin, it's changed a bit because back in the day, even the greatest of players and Fred Biletnikoff and Villapiano, they left their family. They went to Santa Rosa. They stayed in a hotel dorm-like setting. They partied when they were allowed to go out and party at night, and those were the great Raider partiers back then. No one will ever top them in the 70s, led by Ken Stabler. But they didn't go home to their wife and kids. And there's going to be players in the hotels, the younger players undrafted. But I think the football's changing now, man. You want to make the football player as comfortable as he can be when he's not in practice and not in the meeting room. And most of the players live on that side of town in Henderson, and most of them can get home quickly to their families and enjoy what they're going to have before the start of the season.
It's important to have the work-life balance.
Yeah.
We hear about it just in all industries, but in professional sports, why should they be any different? And a lot of these guys do have young families, and to leave for 3 weeks to where, if their wife and kids aren't able to meet them wherever a training camp is, to be apart from them, but some of them have, young infant children, that's tough as well. So to give that work-life balance, I think is great. The Raiders have always done a tremendous job of having the families out at the practices. So there's that interaction on the field as well. So these kids can see what their dads do. And it just kind of just builds everything as they go through their life as a family.
Kevin Bollinger from Fox 5. So my topic of the day today is the Raiders' defense was middle of the pack, decent against the run and the pass. We know they're on the field too much. They just didn't sustain drives on offense there. So I'll ask you what you think needs to be the moxie of this defense. More blitzing? Do you think that they're going to be more energetic? There's going to be more schemes there? Because they got a lot of players, and they got Pete Carroll, Patrick Graham, Rob Leonard with this defensive line. I don't think their secondary is great by any means, and they got to tighten that up before the season starts. But do you want to see a more aggressive style under Pete Carroll and Patrick Graham?
Yeah, I do, and I think a lot of that's going to depend as we go through the season where the injuries are, because we all know depth is an issue, which kind of limited them last year in some facets to what they want to do. But keep in mind, you talk about they were on the field so much, with the fact that the Raiders are expecting to run the football with Ashton Genty and under Chip Kelly's offense and what Pete Carroll wants to do. That's going to lessen the time that the defense is on the field as well, because they're going to run some clock. So that adds a little bit more to the energy level, right? So maybe you are able to get more out of them, and they aren't going to be gassed late in games. But I would like to see them, try and blitz a little bit more. Of course, when you're talking to AFC West and some pretty darn good quarterbacks in the division, it's going to be interesting to see mixing it up, how they're able to do that.
Old school football is you start your 4 defensive linemen, they play most of the game. You take out the guys who are huffing and puffing maybe in the interior on third down if you want to bring in another pass rusher. We don't know the status of Christian Wilkins yet. I'm not diving into that. They'll tell us when we need to know. They're off right now, but it'll be interesting to see how quick that Christian Wilkins can get going again, because he's too important of a piece and he's making too much money to not be an impact guy. And then with Tyree Wilson and the rotation that they'll have with Adam Butler and Malcolm Kuntz, and Max won't come off the field much, Tonka Truck, some of the other players here, I kind of like this old school NASCAR package where there's going to be a rotation of fresher bodies under Pete Carroll who can attack the quarterback.
No question. And I think Butler is the key that they were able to bring back, because especially with the question marks of Christian Wilkins after getting hurt in week 5 last year, to know that you have somebody who has proven and has done it. And we're still waiting for Tyree Wilson to make that big jump. He talked about it during OTAs. He knows this is the year, especially on a rookie contract. He's got to get it done this year. And he expects a big jump this year as well. But rotating and keeping some fresh legs in there, Max Crosby's going to draw all the attention from the offensive line. So hopefully it frees some other guys up to make an impact. And getting Kuntz back, obviously, that's going to be a game changer that they just didn't have last year.
No doubt about it. I like what you said. I wanted to go back to what you said a few questions ago about running the football and picking up first downs on the ground early on second down and first down. Because I think that's what Genty's going to be able to do is, if he averages, Vinny was in here yesterday and was saying 4.5 a carry and comparing him to other great rookie running backs. And I agree with everything he said, but I think it's going to be critical to pick up first downs on the ground. I think the Raiders counted with Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. Every time they're in something bigger than 3rd and 5, it was just difficult for them to conceptually get their head around it, other than going to Brock Bowers, which they did a good job with. I'm hoping that Ashton Genty is going to break a lot of big runs, staying in bounds, moving the chains, and eating some clock.
Yeah, and, the second and short, third and short, you can't, that has to be done. And, let's face it, you have a different style of quarterback in Geno Smith this year that's going to help give a different dynamic on those second and fives, third and threes that can keep defenses on their heels a little bit as well. But having Genty, if they can establish that running game, get into those second and third and short distances, we haven't seen that in a while. And then, that's going to be huge. And moving the chains, as you said, working some clock, trying to shorten the game against some of these high-powered offenses is going to offset some of the deficiencies that may be there to keep the Raiders in a lot of one-score games, which I think they're going to be in a lot of one-score games this year.
Absolutely. Before we let you go, the Golden Knights will wait. The Aces, Caitlin Clark, and when the Aces move from Mandalay Bay over to T-Mobile and they have a big draw, and Asia Wilson had 5,000 points, that was a big moment there. But could you believe this? You've been doing this a long time, and you've won a lot of accomplished awards here. What Caitlin Clark is doing for sports right now, she's out with a groin injury. It deeply affects the ratings of a sport. And then when she comes back, the ratings climb with her.
Well, and, just moving to the bigger arenas, when you think about it, and it's not just the Aces that do that. A lot of WNBA teams do that. And you're talking about a huge revenue bump for these teams. Where margins sometimes are very slim. So be able to get that revenue at the gate on top of the ratings, which is going to lead to better TV deals and more TV money. It's going to lead to higher salaries for the players. And, there's a trickle-down effect involved in all of that. But, putting 5,500 and packing the Mandalay Bay Event Center, which the Aces do all the time, is fantastic. But when you can put, 16,000, 17,000 inside T-Mobile, I mean, it's just simple economics. It's huge.
So can you tease anything about Fox 5's Raider coverage? Because we'll start up with you again somewhere through training camp. But I know being a proud partner of the Raiders and the exclusivity you get and what you do in the preseason and all that, you got to be excited for another year ahead of you with your team.
Yeah, the work's already begun. We air all 3 preseason games exclusively in Southern Nevada on Fox 5. So we'll have the Seattle game, the 49er game, and the Arizona Cardinal game. And we'll have a full half-hour Raiders pregame show with all kinds of cool stuff. We're sitting down to go one-on-one with Pete Carroll, with Geno Smith, with Ashton Genty. We got all kinds of great feature stories involved there. We're going to get everybody not only ready for the season with what this team's about on the field, but we're also going to give them a feel for who they are as people, because I think that's important as a fan to get to know the players and who they are as well. So we're going to give everybody a little bit of everything and get everybody ready for kickoff in week 1 in New England.
Yeah, Fox 5 does a tremendous job. Enjoy the rest of the summer. I'll see you a couple of weeks from now. Thanks for doing this, Kevin.
You got it. Thanks, JT.
Kevin Bollinger from Fox 5, the news director. Good friend, good guy, and someone I really respect. Vince Sapienza, which is one of the guys he works with, does our morning show with Clay and Vinny. So good to have him. Breaking news, the NFL has suspended Justin Tucker for the first 10 weeks for violating personal conduct policies. Justin Tucker was clearly on pace to go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. This might keep him out. They do not like voting for people that have conduct issues. And we'll see what happens here. Tucker was accused of sexual misconduct by more than a dozen massage therapists in the Baltimore area. As a result of the allegations, the kicker was released by the Ravens in May. He remains a free agent. Per the NFL, Tucker's suspension will start August 26th when rosters are finalized. If he does not sign with the team, he can serve his suspension while not under contract. The NFL added that Tucker can participate in training camp and preseason games if he does sign with the team. So he's one of the greatest kickers ever. And I was shocked that Adam Vinatieri didn't get into the Hall of Fame, Bobby, on first ballot. And we're going back for Eric Allen. There's only 4 getting in. So Antonio Gates, Jared Allen, Sterling Sharp, and Eric Allen. How did they leave Adam Vinatieri out of the 2025 Hall of Fame class? Are you bleeping kidding me? The most impactful kicker we've ever seen. The Patriots dynasty We hate the tuck rule, but the tuck rule kicked before the tuck rule game winner, and they didn't let him in. They didn't let Eli in on first ballot. I'm good with that.
Right.
How do you not let Vinatieri in on first ballot? He's the greatest kicker of all time.
Simple. They don't take kickers as seriously.
I guess not. But I mean, come on.
Think about how many kickers are in the Hall of Fame right now. Not a whole lot.
Yeah, not Jan Stenerud. Yeah.
Daryl Yepremian.
No, I don't think he's in. There are. That's a Google topic. There are a couple of kickers in. We know Ray Guy is one of the greatest punters of all time. And when you get two kickers, Morton Anderson, friend of the show. So the 5 kickers currently in are, of course, George Blanda, who also played quarterback, Lou Groza, Jan Stenerud, Morton Anderson, and Ray Guy, who is a punter they consider a kicker.
So the youngest guy they have in there as far as for kicking would be Ray Guy, and that was like 40 years ago.
or Morton Anderson.
Yeah,
Morton Anderson, yeah.
That kind of explains it.
Yeah, so that's it. I can't wait for Eric Allen's induction. It's another part of our meeting today. I mean, the Raiders, he played for the Eagles. He was more of an Eagle, but he's a Raider. He's a legendary Raider, but his Eagle years are what got him into the Hall of Fame. And the Eagles and the Raiders are joining together for Eric Allen's presentation into Canton, Ohio. And I'll tell you, I've been there for the big ones for the Raiders, the big ones, Tom Flores, Cliff Branch, John Madden. If you look at the ones we were able to go to and be a part of and have a role in, this is going to be really cool because Eric is so humble. He's so humble, and he doesn't like parties, and he doesn't like things about him. I mean, he loves a party, but he's not the guy saying me, and it's going to be about him. He's going to have one hell of a party in Canton, Ohio. And if you're going, I would recommend everybody getting their tickets now to the Canton Enshrinement at Fawcett Stadium if you want to go and be a part of that weekend, because it's tough to get rooms there. It's really difficult to stay there. A lot of people end up staying in Akron or surrounding areas. Raiders have a good hookup for us who are going, but it's not easy. So if you're going to go, I'll put that together, and it's always a good time. All right, we are flying through the show. I left the show open the rest of the way. So we opened it up with the topic, 2 topics today. What do you want this Raider defense to look like that's differently this year? What do you want to see from a scheme perspective? So you diehard Raider Nation guys have a good topic there. What do you want to see differently? More blitzes, more unique coverage? Do you want to see more man coverage like the great Willie Brown? I don't know if we have the coverage to go man. I don't know. It doesn't look like it to me with the depth of the cornerback room, but we just brought in some new ones. And then what are you watching? Because ESPN's draft coverage last night was so brutal. Literally everybody's saying how brutal it was. What is your go-to TV show in sports that you watch that you're not going to turn away from? I'll go first. For me, it's Pardon the Interruption, PTI. That's it. I watch a lot of other things. I'll turn on First Take. I'll have things on background stuff. But the show that when I do my night show, which is a couple nights a week, at about 6 o'clock at night, I go to my DVR and I hit PTI because whatever they're leading with, I'm leading with. If they're going to put it in their A block, I'm going to put it in my A block. Other than that, I think sports TV and cable needs a really big kick in the ass. And what they decided to put on TV last night was rough. I mean, rough. 702-365-9200. More on what's going to happen with the draft coming up here, round 2. There are a couple of trades, including the Lakers. Ooh, that was a close one. The Lakers moved up. What are the Lakers doing? Who do the Lakers know they're taking because they specifically moved up? So they know who they want, but we don't know who it is. We'll take a couple of guesses throughout the show. JT, right here in Vegas, brought to you by Boyd Gaming. 10 properties here in Vegas. The local relationships are unbelievable at Boyd. All right. I might keep it here for one more monologue. How about that? So I think we're doing all right with this. StreamYard.
Back in a minute. It's going to be Bailey Philpott coming back.
Okay, no. We got to deal with this Charger fan. Want to see you guys cry when the Chargers pound it right up the middle. Yeah, if you drop Homo lines and Diddy, Hero, or whatever your name is, I'm going to just throw you out of here. So, you know, we don't need to see you. I don't need to see you today. It's a privilege. If you want to talk a little Chargers trash, I'll ruin you in one line. The Chargers have sucked your entire life and have never done anything once in your entire life. So if you're going to fight for your Chargers and talk trash, let's see you do something first. I will admit, the Chargers have owned the Raiders in LA. That's got to stop. That's got to stop. That really bothers me. Boot him. Fabian wants me to boot you.
We got about 4 minutes on this side.
Okay. Oh. Yeah, it's hard to do a radio show for an hour without a phone call unless you have three co-hosts.
I mean, Chip Kelly coming back.
Chip Kelly?
Yep.
Our Wi-Fi seems to be back. I don't want to jinx it.
Yeah, don't.
Michael Mayer better get the ball. I would agree.
Well, at least the Red Sox can't lose today.
Yep. Oh.
Join today and let's build your future together. Westar Credit Union. Rooted in Nevada, built for you. Visit westar.org or your nearest branch and get started today. I'm Ken Goodrich with Getter. We once got a call from two neighbors yelling at each other over a shared wall. We got there fast, isolated the leak, repaired the pipe, and calmed down a suburban standoff before it turned into full-blown neighborhood warfare. At Gettle, we do things the right way, not the
Yeah, we do have something for the AFC West this year. I agree with that.
first pipe brings stress, we bring solutions.
It does. It's the best division in football.
It should be, yeah.
Either that or the-
I agree.
Hello, this is Aaron Taylor, the real estate guy. Are you serious about buying or selling real estate?
Cam Newton talks about, what is this storyline?
We deliver what others promise. Clear
That's
communication
Crosby, Von Miller, Shaq promise.
and top results that you can count on. That's right, Dad. Jacob Taylor here, the real estate guy. Whether you're buying your dream home or selling your biggest asset, do not settle for less. Work with the brand that leads with experience, trust, and proven success. With over 8,000 homes sold and 30 years in the business, we know what we're doing. Go to the real estate guy, LB.
You know, they're building an alligator Alcatraz of 5,000 prisoners surrounded by alligators.
They're trying to build it. We'll see.
Jeez.
Chip Kelly.
JWD. Just one day. There's a legendary person in this organization. And it's the truth. There are games you're going to win 9-6, and there are games you're going to have to win 38-37. And you do enough on each side of the ball in phases to contribute to winning, because winning in this league is hard. The last team that went undefeated in this league was the 72 Dolphins, so it's been a long, long time. Everybody that's been in this league or spent any time in this league knows how hard it is to win, and it really is just win, baby. And how do you do that? Each week your game plan has to understand who's available, who you're playing against, and can we score enough points that we score one more than our opponent? That's really hopefully what our identity is that we do enough on our side to help our defense and help our special teams beat whoever we're playing on any given Sunday.
Wow, that is a great soundbite by Chip Kelly. He's giving us flowers to Al Davis. Nothing wrong with that. And on top of that, he's jumping in and telling you there's going to be games where you got to score to win 38-37. There's games where you got to score in a low-scoring game. And he's been through it all. He's been through it all. And I truly believe that Chip Kelly is going to be in a position with the Raiders. Norv Turner helped out last year, and no one can take away Norm's success. Norm's success is the Cowboys' legendary offensive coordinator. He tried to help out his son. I thought that the offense was limited because we had no running game, dead last in the league. Couldn't throw it to save our lives. Aiden could throw it a little bit. Gardner Minshew really struggled. He couldn't complete passes, and he threw interceptions. So it was a difficult year, and still Brock Bowers broke the all-time rookie tight end record. Jacoby Myers had 1,000 yards with no drops. There were some good things that happened last year. But Chip Kelly, come on. Even his detractors who said, well, he wasn't great in the NFL. He's better than you think. He was better than you thought at Philadelphia. Now, Philadelphia's standard with Nick Sirianni is winning the Super Bowl, but Chip had that team playing hard. He wore a lot of guys out. Wore a lot of guys out there, too, kind of like Tom Thibodeau does on defense. Chip Kelly can work guys hard, but I think Pete Carroll wants to see that. And Pete Carroll's really comfortable with Chip Kelly and Patrick Graham. He's got two super coordinators. I mean, as I've said many times, I don't know if I'm not positive, but I would say that Patrick Graham will be a head coach next year. He was a finalist for Jacksonville, and they took Liam Cohen. Liam Cohen, the guy who said Duval at the press conference. That was a disaster. I got my in-laws live down there. It was a disaster. So I would think 6 or 7 coaches are going to get fired this year, and he'll get a job. Buccaneers signed Todd Bowles and their general manager, Jason Licht, to multi-year extensions. Buccaneers, we got John Spytek from the Buccaneers, and he left. And the other gentleman there got extensions. Spytek comes from a really good organization when it comes to evaluating talent. So hopefully that rubs off in a big way here with the Silver and Black. All right, everybody, I'm going to take about a 2 or 3 minute timeout. Matter of fact, I'm going to take us off of Twitter and just leave us here. I'm going to remove us on X. Let me remove us. Yep, I'm going to remove us on X and keep us on YouTube. How cool is that? Yes, Big D, I need to hydrate. You know me well.
Bring your friends, have some fun, but always bet on black. Visit their 10 casinos across the valley. Don't let the game get out of hand. Please bet responsibly.
The place for all your Raiders coverage is right here on Raider Nation Radio, 920 AM.
It's time to get road tripping and chicken finger dipping at Raising Cane's. JT with Raider Nation Radio. With everyone planning their summer road trips, make sure to take some cans with you. With their cooked order chicken fingers, crinkle cut fries, buttery Texas toast, and secret cane sauce, you're going to be set when you hit the road. And you'll stay hydrated with Cane's awesome iced tea and fresh lemonade. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, proud partner of Raider Nation Radio. One love.
Personal injury law has been the same for a long time. Big egos, greed, and sleazy schemes. Big and loud doesn't always mean right. And the conventional mold doesn't define success. Goodbye, false quick buck promises. We've had enough. Welcome to Sam and Ash, the new standard for personal injury law, where things are done the right way, with integrity, experience, and authenticity. We're champions for the underdog. Life happens, and when you need help, you deserve a team without hidden agendas. A team that delivers real support and results. When you have both, your whole world can change. So if you've been hurt in a crash, call Sam and Ash, 702-303-0333. Sam and Ash, because you deserve what's right.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Hello, I'm Jesse Dolcin with Fireplace Realty.
All right, I'm back. What was my choice today? My choice today is the Arizona Arnold Palmer Light half and half iced tea lemonade. Truly one of the greatest drink inventions of all time. Calories 110. What a great Arnold Palmer. Did Arnold Palmer, Bobby, really come up with the Arnold Palmer drink by mixing iced tea and lemonade? It was that simple. It's a fabulous drink.
I think Snapple came up with it before he did.
Big D, I'm trying to drop a little bit of weight, down 6 pounds in 6 days, drinking water and coffee, but I got a ways to go. I had a good winter. It's good. Yeah, we're not gonna let Hero take over Charger Talk. We don't need that.
Okay, so I'm thinking to about 20, then break.
Yeah. Let's do the draft. But I don't want to do the Colin Cowherd, Bill Simmons.
Okay, so
I'll do Bill Simmons. Let's do Mavs, Bailey, Carmelo.
It's the JT the Brick Show, broadcasting live from the Philly Cadillac Performance Studio.
Raiders bring a blitz, takes him off the middle, and he's wrapped up from behind. That's Crosby.
Your silver and black home to sound off over 20 years.
Open at the 35, racing to the 20, 10, touchdown Raiders.
And now, here's JT the Brick.
All right, JT with you as we continue hour number 2 on the flagship of the Raiders, Raider Nation Radio. And we are brought to you by Tito's Handmade Vodka. Let me tell you something quickly about Tito's. I dreamed about having a partnership with Tito's because it's one of the brands I represent all the time. I've been having Tito's from Backyard Brick, on the road, whatever. When I made the switch to Tito's, I have never gone back. And Tito's is an American success story. They're the America's original craft vodka. One of the best stories I've ever seen. They make the good stuff for good times. It's my go-to vodka. Make Tito's your go-to vodka. You go to titosvodka.com. Distilled and bottled by Fifth Generation Inc., Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume. Savor responsibly. And I'm telling you, next time you go out, wherever you are, they'll have Tito's for you. And if they don't, let me know about it. I'll let your partners know. Tito's are go-to vodka as they begin hour number 2 on the show. So I'm going to get into it in about 20 minutes on how bad the broadcast was for the NBA. I kicked off the first hour. I look at the show as 2 one-hour shows, and the second hour is new to people who are getting off lunch, going back to work, whatever it is. I thought the NBA's draft television coverage was one of the worst TV broadcasts I've ever seen in my life, and a lot of people agree with me. Bill Simmons said on his podcast, and he's got a big podcast, and he's been involved with basketball his whole life, especially on ABC, ESPN. Here's what he said.
Toronto took Colin Murray Boyles, leading Kendrick Perkins. I didn't know which telecast to watch. It was like, do I take this samurai sword and jam it into my temple, or do I take this chainsaw and saw my leg off? I couldn't figure it out. Perk, they took Colin Murray Boyles, and Perk said they have the pieces. And they're a top 6 team in the East. And at that point, I started looking for a third ESPN channel, but there were only 2 covering the draft. There wasn't a third one, at least one that I couldn't find. But I didn't mind that pick. And then Malawach at 10. And then we had a trade. And then the draft started getting really weird. Cedric Coward, Memphis, moves up with Portland. Malika calls him Colin Coward, which was exciting. I thought Colin Coward got drafted for a second.
So he took a little bit of a shot on that, but that was just a mistake that was made there. So as I've been dovetailing off this topic, and I thought it would be bigger, I mean, what TV shows or coverages do you love? My number one sport for television is the Golf Channel. Some people get it, other people don't. I can't help you if you don't get it. If you watch Golf Channel, and what they do live from whatever tournament it is. I think it's the best coverage that I see on television because a guy by the name of Randall Chambly, who's an analyst who's just great. He's just unbelievable. And then I go to TNT with Charles and Barkley and what he's been able to do. But they had Bob Myers on the broadcast last night, and Bob Myers was with Stephen A., and he's good. He's the architect of a dynasty. But what the NBA needs to do is they need to have more experts that know about the European players. Donnie Nelson, whoever the players are down the road, the legends who drafted the Euros, can we find someone who can specialize in France, Spain, and put them on? See, like, I thought the coach was terrible dive into that. How much better the Christian leader on my all-time more college basketball. Did you hear that? Myself to our YouTube channel. This guy Ace Bailey got taken by the Jazz at number 5. This was a little bit controversial because he didn't want to work out for anybody and he had preferred teams. How about this knucklehead? He said, I'm not going to work out for Philly. I'm not going to work out for you. Here are my preferred teams. And he gets stuck in Salt Lake.
With the 5th pick in the 2025 NBA draft, the Utah Jazz select Arius Ace Bailey from Rutgers University.
Another guy from Rutgers goes. So with that happening, you saw 2 guys on Rutgers and 2 guys from Duke go in the first 5 picks of the draft. And turns out Ace Bailey doesn't want to go to Utah, but he's going. So good luck with that one. The fans know it. He didn't want to work out for anybody. He wanted to have his, I'm dead serious, listen to this. He truly wanted to have his destination choice where he wanted to go as a rookie. Wouldn't that be great? I got a 21-year-old looking for a job now. I told him it's not your destination where you want to work. It's where you're going to get hired. It'd be nice to get hired by where you want to work. Be nice. You want to work for Amazon? You might have to unload boxes for 2 years before you become an executive. You want to go work for a casino? You might have to valet for a year. I don't know. But I love these entitled NBA players, even the draft picks. I'm not going to work out for your teams because I don't want to go there. Great. The sport is really weird. Carmelo Anthony talked about Flag going to Dallas. Remember, they have Anthony Davis. They got a pretty good team with Kyrie Irving.
To me, he doesn't do anything great. He just do a lot of very good. You know what I'm saying? He offensive rebound, very good. He in the passing lanes, very good. He's a weak side defender, very good. On-ball defender, he got a lot better. I want to see him against you. I want to see him against KD. I want to see him against Luka. I want to see him against Ant Edwards because you coming in as that guy. He got to develop the right way. He got to get a skill set. You can't be in the pros and don't have a skill set. So you have to have a skill set. Like your skill set have to be something. A one dribble pull up, like something. Floater, like you have to have something that's your go-to. Right now, he don't have a go-to, which is why when they put all of those games at the end of the game in 5 seconds or less and the ball is in your hands, you offer in those situations because you don't have a go-to. You thinking about a million things to do instead of just, I know I'm getting to this spot. And if you defend it, more power with you.
Well, that's a really strong comment that Cooper Flag doesn't have a go-to. Can you imagine Carmelo Anthony saying that? Carmelo Anthony was a great young player at Syracuse. He won a national championship. What was his go-to? He could do it all. I think Cooper Flag's a little bit better than what Carmelo Anthony just said. Big Al in San Francisco, an NBA guy. Big Al, I thought the coverage, the television coverage was awful last night. They're going to try again as round 2 is about to get underway.
Yeah, I don't think they had enough time, quite honestly, to prep because it was only 3 days after Game 7. It seems like the NBA has decided to try to mush everything together for whatever those reasons might be. And, that's their prerogative, but the trickle-down effect on that is that the commentators who are concentrating on the NBA Finals and all the issues around the NBA Finals are all of a sudden like, well, now you got 2 days to prep for this thing. Here's a list of players. Go Google them. That's kind of what my impression was of what I was able to watch and so forth last night. But the players themselves, I think it's very interesting because David Stern, the late great David Stern, and I say that in great respect to him, said he wanted to make this a global game, and he has certainly done that, and he certainly did that, and that the players coming out of Europe are far better than the American players that have come out of the schools here. The American players, basically every single one of them plays above the rim, and that's nice. But that doesn't mean they understand how to ball. They just know how to play above the rim. Incredible athletes, incredible hops. They've been using the fitness technology and the healthcare technology to become these incredible athletic players, but not necessarily incredible basketball players. The European game is still a team game. The ball still moves. The way the foul lane is constructed, the paint, is like a disincentive for major above the rim play. So these, a lot of European guys got drafted. France and Spain have become the hub in Europe. Obviously, we have a lot of players from Africa whose countries have been affiliated with France, and they've been affiliated with Germany just by the nature of of the politics dating back 500 years. So a lot of these young guys come into the league, and they know how to play too. I look at this kid Daly, who went to my alma mater. That's where I went to grad school, and I'm like, okay, God, wait till you try to go down the lane and you get clocked because you think you can go play above the rim, and you're going to have a 7-footer he's going to take your ball, he's going to swat it into the third deck, and then in reference to Dikembe Mutombo wave his finger in his face. The fact is, a lot of these young guys come in, they see the money, and they're great athletes, no doubt. They're great athletes,
They are.
but they don't know how to play. Bailey's going to get his butt handed to him, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Harper, who is
Ron Harper's kid,
the former NBA player, who is Harper. The young Harper went to a rival high school of mine back east. Fine, his father played, and so he understands the game maybe better than most because he's lived and breathed it, for his entire life. But that doesn't mean that he's necessarily going to be very good. The potential is there. Can these guys play? I guess we're all going to find out. But if I was a GM, I would be really looking really hard at all the European players because I know all those guys can play.
Yeah. Thanks, Big Al. Appreciate it. I think the European players, it was a big trend. The Pelicans got Jeremiah Fears at number 7 and Derek Queen at number 13. I don't know much about those players, but they got 2 picks, number 7 and 13, right near each other. If those guys turn out to be all rookie players, and what a good opportunity to give a plug right now to NBA Summer League. As I was telling my son last night, after watching this, you go to NBA Summer League here in Vegas, you're going to see all these guys play. And you're going to see them play a lot, all of them. And it's important because then we're going to know a little bit about these guys. Thor in Summerlin answers the call on what the Raider defense needs to do to take it to the next level. What would that be, Thor?
JT, man, there's a lot of health is wealth and pressure burst types. So we don't know what's going on with Christian Wilkins. Maybe Tonka Hemingway will be big as a rookie for us. Max got to be Max. Max got to stay healthy. You know what I'm saying? Adam Butler has to help out. Malcolm Kuntz, we don't know. We don't know because he missed all last year. But if we can get pressure pressure is huge. The quarterback must go down, and he must go down hard. That's for real. Like we don't know what Jacorian Bennett and the rookie kid Damian Porter, is that his name?
Yeah, Porter's great. I interviewed Porter a few times. He looks unbelievable.
Great. And I hope he comes out and plays unbelievable. Big players need to make big plays in big games at big times. And this defense could be really, really good, JT. I'm fired up about it, but again, health is wealth. We have to stay healthy, and we have to get pressure to help out the safeties, help out the Palomalu, and help out your corners and your linebackers, and you have to tackle. When you hit somebody, make sure you wrap up and tackle. We cannot have broken tackles, but the defense could be really, really good. But we just don't know until we see it because of so many injuries last year. I believe if healthy, this defense can be very, very good. Top of the line. JT, I'm fired up for the season. I'm always fired up, and I'm always positive.
You got it, Thor. You got it. And Thor and I will be hanging out soon at the grand reopening of La Casa Cigars as it's getting ready. Thor knows I need a cigar. He needs a cigar. We were on the Raider cruise. And I heard from the team at the Raider Cruise, as I got to record a new spot for the upcoming cruise with new alumni, some new alumni and some familiar alumni. So, Bobby, remind me, I have to cut those spots tomorrow for the Raider Cruise, which is coming up next year, which are all excited. That cruise is fun. Ooh, that was 400 Raider fans on the high seas. 400 plus Raider fans, man. Super excited about that. 702-365 9200 is the number. Thor makes a good point about putting pressure from the beginning of time back to leather helmets. When you had a good pass rush, the corners and safeties benefit. There's less time to cover. And you're able to make a big play because the play gets blown up behind the line of scrimmage and you can jump a route. I mean, was there anybody better than Eric Allen at that? 54 interceptions. He played with Reggie White and Jerome Brown. Reggie White was a menace. How many interceptions? I got to ask EA that. I never asked him that. How many interceptions did EA get off? I'm going to text him that right now before we come back. How many interceptions did Eric Allen get off the pressure of Reggie White coming off the edge? It's a damn good question. I would think, I don't know, 5, 10? He had 54. I would assume there was a decent amount when Reggie White was out on the field. But Malcolm Kuntz, does anybody know what he's going to look like? I have no idea. No idea. I just talked to Vinny. Vinny's in the hallway. Vinny Bonsignor in for Q. He went to Max Crosby Sack Summit. Von Miller was there, Cam Jordan, Max. So I'm sure he's going to talk about that coming up. But this team, as Jack Yates says, he's expecting here a top 10 defense. Well, that's what has to happen here. We got Pete Carroll and Patrick Graham. Doesn't it have to be a top 10? Like when John Spytek talks to his scouts and his staff, doesn't he tell them all we're going to be a really good defense in year one? I would hope so because I'm expecting them to be really good in year one. They have to be. Absolutely have to be for this program to turn around. And hopefully that'll be the case. When we come back, I got some sound from the NBA draft. Again, I'm doing a sports talk show today, everybody. Sorry. Can't throw Raider topics up against the wall if they don't stick. So I got to go back to the NBA because the NBA draft round 2 is coming up. And they brought Kendrick Perkins back, actually. Yeah. They brought him back for round 2. They got a WNBA host ready to do round 2. Man, the NBA loves the WNBA players and hosts. They're there in a big way tonight. And we'll see if round 2 is exciting. Lakers trade up. What will they do? JT from Vegas. Thank you, everyone. That was 34 interceptions as an Eagle. Thank you. All right. I will talk to everybody soon. I'm going on vacation next week, middle of the week, so I'll be gone from July 3rd to the 13th. So I'll have my phone with me, but I won't be streaming, man. I need to unplug. I need to effing unplug in July. even from the bricklayers. I can't be the bricktator all summer long. You know, the bricktator needs a break.